So welcome back, people. It's good to see your faces again. Today we're going to finish our series on how to make a game using Unity. We're going to finish the game anyways, however long it's going to take, whether it's an hour or two or whatever. So we're just going to find the errors which need to be fixed and fix it. We're going to create a main menu. We're going to create what the high score plays, and then I think that should be everything about the game, right? So let's start by fixing a few errors anyways. um Now when this sphere goes below this screen bound, it doesn't really have an effect, or it doesn't really show that game is over. So we're going to start with that. First of all, let me create a folder. We call this UI. Going to drag this button in there, so that'll be good for us. Next, let's go into our scripts folder. The script which the sphere has in it as a component is the movement, so it should be best if we open the movement. So inside Visual Studio now we have this is alpha, or how much the code is. It's not that plenty, or it's not a lot, so I'm sure we can squeeze in one or two lines of code anyways. So let's add another variable up here. Let's call this public. Let's call this also y pose, or pose anyways, and we're going to call this minus, we're going to give this a value of -5f either ways. Let's close this with a semicolon. Then we can go down to just below this moving, I think. So right here we can create an if statement to check our y position. So we're going to type in if rb dot transform dot position dot y. If this is less than, or if it's less than or equal to our y pose, then we want to execute this line of code also. It's same game over, right? So let's just copy this find object of type. Let's copy this, let's put it in here. It's paste. Let's save this and take a look. Now let's play our game. Let's fall. Oh boy. And you can see it comes on. So our UI is actually working. Start works too, which is good. But the menu is not working. Well, one reason is because we haven't made our menu yet, and second is because I've not added any function to the button. So I think that would be the next thing which we're going to do. Now let's go back into our scene folder, and let's right click over here to create a new scene. Let's call this menu. So let me double tap this. You can see we have an empty screen over again, which is somewhat good for us. Let's see. Now what we do is we come into our hierarchy, we right click over here, and then we create a UI. Just like the first time, we create a canvas. Inside this canvas, we want to add an image. So let's look at this image, and let's use this rect tool to stretch it so it fills the screen. Then we're going to color this. See, I think this should be okay. What do we usually have? Let's see. So under the image, let's add a text first. This text, same as before, we put it in the middle, and right here, what we call this will be the title of our game, man. I don't know. Let me put something like rolling ball. And if you have an issue with the title, you can just tell me down in the comments so I can change it. Because right now I'm not good with naming games, so I think this should be okay anyway. Let me try 32. Okay, so this should be normal. Line spacing, okay. So let's see. Let's increase this. So it should be okay, I guess. Let's drag this up. Somewhere here. I think the position should be good. And so all we need is like literally just two buttons, one to start our game and the other to exit. So let's right click UI, let's add a button now. We can duplicate this and drag this under there. So our first button now would be our play. Inside it, we look for the text. This we also call it play. And our next button would be our exit. So we can also go under this inside our text, and we can call this exit. So I think this should be okay now. For the color of this button anyways, we could use our same UI. Let me see if this will do. I'm hoping it doesn't struggle with the color anyways, but I think this should be okay. We color this white, our play button, and our exit, same thing, white. The button, we drag this image into it, so this should do now. This is our title, and I think we could design this title, but let's do this later on anyways. This should be okay now for basic description, and we have what we want. So next thing now would be to create another empty game object. Let's call this controller. Yep, so this controls everything in our scene. Right now we're going to create another C# script, and this also, the name would be controller. Now we can double click this controller script, so we open it in Visual Studio. So inside the script, what we do is copy this using Unity Engine. Let's copy this and down, paste, and we add .scene management. Sorry, let's save this. That's so the only thing which this would be doing now would be to load our scene tutor. So let's create the public void. Let's call this play game or play anyways, whichever one. So let's call it play. And inside this play, what we do now is we load scene. So this scene manager dot load scene, and the name of the scene would be tutor, right? So this should be okay. And we set time dot time scale. We set this equal to 1. Save this. Let's set our play button in Unity. Set. Let's go down here to our play button. Let's add an on click. So let's drag this controller inside of it, and let's select display. So this should be okay. Let's play our game to see if it works. And tutor could not be loaded because it has not been added to build, which I forgot to do. So we can go into our build settings, and then so this is what I was talking about, I think in our last video or 2 videos back, is that if you don't set this, if you drag this, so this would be our 0, this would be 1. You can see this build index over here, this number. So we can use this to load the scene. Right here in our load scene, we can decide to just add the number. So if we want to load scene 0, this will be it. So it is going to load our menu. If it's 1, then it's going to load tutor. So I can just add the number up here. It's going to work. But we can also put the title of the scene, which is good. So we drag this inside of this build settings, and then we can close this because we're not using it right now. Let's clear our console. So let's play this game now. And you can see my game starts. And game over. It works. Restart works, but menu doesn't really work. So for the exit, let's see. What we do for the exit is we come back into our controller and we create another public void. And this, we'll call it let's call it quit or exit. And inside this, all we do is type in application dot quit. So whatever the software is, all this button does is it exits exactly what it sounds like. So it exits the game exactly what it sounds like. We don't, whether we play and we try to exit the game in whatever way, this button is not going to work. You can see, because but if you try it out on your, let's say your platform, maybe PC or phone or whatever it is that you build the game for, it's going to work anyways. So I think this should do now. Next thing we'll be looking after or be trying to do right now would be to add a high score. So we can Since we're done with our menu, we can go back into our tutor. Let's save this. And over here, what we do now is we add our high score and also our score and high score anyway, so we can keep track of score, because that's what this game would be about, since there are no treasures which you can hunt for or other things which you can keep searching for, or missions to fulfill or something. It's about surviving. So we're going to have a score so we can keep count, which is what we will do next. So to do this, what I'm going to do is come over here. I'm going to right click and create an empty game object. I'm going to name this, of course, score manager. This should be okay. So let's reset the transform. And inside this score manager, I'm going to right click, go into UI. I'm going to create text. So this should do. I'm going to make them let's say 2 for now. I'm going to name this text my score. This also, I'm going to call this score. And the second text, I'm going to name this let's say SC, I don't know, something like this. And inside it, it's going to be a number, so I'm going to put 0 there. I'm going to select this and position it in the right place, so it's going to be down here. You can position it anywhere you like, it doesn't really matter. This, I'm going to bring it down, then right beside the score over here. I think this should be okay now. And so to actually move this score now, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new C# script. So we're going to call this let's call this score record. So let's double click this and open it. So this is it. Now I'm going to create 4 variables. The first would be a public text. And this text would be my score. Before I go any further, let me add the using up here. So I'm going to use the Unity engine .ui. So down here in my public, after the public text score, I'm going to also create another public text. This would be the high score. And then down here, we're going to make a float. This can be private. We don't need anything touching it, so this should be private. Should be a private float score, and another private high score. So to differentiate this, let me use an underscore over here and also an underscore over here. So this should be okay now. Now I'm going to set my score. That's the number. That's underscore score. This would be equal to 0. It's when I start the game. And in my update, I'm going to make sure that my score is plus equal my time dot delta time, then multiply this by 5. So after this, what I can do now is set my high score. That's the float value. My high score would be equal to the integer value, that's int, of my score. And finally, I'm going to set the text for my score. This would be equal to my high score dot to string. Back in Unity, all we have to do is come to our score manager, reset the transform, then drag and drop our score record script onto the script score manager. So we put in now we put in our score into the score, our SC text into the score, so this can read it. And so we play the game now to see if it is actually working. And you can see now that it's keeping track of our score. So we have the score now. Restart. We can see that the score is counting up, or it's going up in value. So I think this should do. Now for our high score, what we're going to do is back in Unity, we're going to use something different this time around. And this is going to be player prefs. For those who haven't heard of it, it's usually used to keep a little bit of record for like progress in a game, or how far, or maybe if a number beats another. Just know in essence it's going to like save a new form of data in a way. So now what I would do is, so we'll go player refs dot get int. This would be our score. So we want to check if this score is less than or equal to our high score. Then if so, our next line of code is going to be our player prefs dot set int, and this would be our score, and the value which we want to set would be our high score. And there it is. So we should do, and this should be an if statement. And finally we want to set our score. So this would be this is going to be a high score dot text would be equal to the player pref dot get int, which is our score. It's not underscore high score, or just the normal text high score. And we're going to convert this to string. Let me correct this and set it to high score. And also this, let me add this up to it. So over here all I have to do is to duplicate this. That's on my score manager. I can just duplicate this and then drag this over here. So let's see what happens. You can see now if I play the game, high score is working. So my highest so far is 17. Now you can see it updates by itself. So my highest would be 32 now. If I should restart the game, you can see it's 32. So that is good for us, but I don't want this as this. Let me rename this to high score. I don't want this over here. I want this inside my UI manager, inside the image. So I'm going to take this and put it in here. I'm going to set this image active so I can repair this. I'm going to select this and duplicate it. This will be the high score text. Inside this, what I'm going to write is best. So this should do, and I'm going to take this up top. So let me take this up top to somewhere around here, and then my high score, I'm going to take it up somewhere around here. This would be good. Let's put it somewhere in the middle. So I think this should be okay. Let's play our game now. Silly me. Let me select this or set this to not active. Our game should play just fine now. So we can see our best is 32, which is good for us. So what I'll do now is fix up my menu, which is a button for my menu. This one right here, I haven't given it a function, so I can go back into my code inside my UI manager. I'm going to create a public. Let me duplicate this, copy, down, paste it here, and I'm going to call this menu. So inside this, rather than load my scene tutor, let me use my build index and let me just put 0 here and save this so we can fix things up. Now with this, I can select my menu button, drag, select this add on click, drag my UI manager into it, and add a function to it, which would be my menu. So let's test this out. Nice. You can see we're back in our menu, so our game is almost complete. There is just one more thing which I want to add, because in my thumbnail you can see that the floor has different colors. So I'm going to name this maybe tiles. Tiles have different designs after all, so I'll double click this. So I can open it up in Visual Studio. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and make a public. I'm going to call this mesh render. This would be let's see, mesh. So I'm not going to use my update. Let me delete this, but I would be using my awake. So let me delete this, create another void. Let's call this awake. And inside my awake function, I'm going to make a reference to my mesh. So this would be get component. This component would be my mesh renderer. Let's close this. We're going to set this to mesh dot material dot color. This would be equal to an RGBA value. It's red, green, blue, and alpha, but we're not going to be using alpha, so strictly red, green, blue. This would be a new color. And for the red would be a random value. Green would be a random value. And the blue also would be random value. So let me close this with a semicolon. So our final step now would be to select our floor and drag this tile onto it. We're going to override this, of course, apply. And this should do now, so let's play our game. Let's restart this way. So you can see that our tiles have different colors, and this reminds you of our thumbnail for this video. So this really has been a pleasure doing this series. It has been really amazing. So for those of you who may be interested in more of my content, as always, don't forget to subscribe and hit that thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the series or any of my videos, be sure to comment down below so I can change it or prepare it. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Next week we will begin something new, so stick around to find out. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video.